at a base level, that's what this podcast is a roundtable of communication.
Right.
But anyway, the point being is that, like, yes, you're right. Words can get muddled and words can get confusing. But in its rawest form, in energy and vibrations rawest form, lies within sound. And that's all I'm going to say, because I know
sound creates vibration, and the vibration creates matter. So when you speak and words,
we're
I'm
spoiling this man's
all right. I'm sorry.
Spoiling this man's
you did it. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
All right, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Great Apes Cafe. Great appreciation for people, entertainment, and success. And I'm so happy and enthusiastic everybody is here. I'm going to have Sis introduce herself.
What's good, y'all? It's Queen Brittany.
My brother to the right.
How y'all doing? This is You Know What It Is, back again.
My brother to the left.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Keith Sweezy.
And to his left.
Yo, what's up, man? It's your boy Cool Kev. In this bitch.
In this bitch. And of course, y'all know me as Timothy Raw. And today I'm definitely happy about this episode, because we be having a deep dive talking about motherfucking religion. Right? I know you shouldn't be using profanity with religion.
No, but you're being vague,
or you know what I'm saying.
I mean,
matter.
No, and vague in terms of like religion, because like that.
I was going to like scuba dive into it.
Series, like so it's like we're diving into like the subsection.
No, not the subsection. I'm gonna have my homeboy introduce his whole ideology on what we were talking about at Nugget. Shout out to Nugget. But yeah, I wanted to make it vague at first, and then I wanted him to dive into the ocean, deep into the abyss of darkness.
Yeah, I got like a little introduction.
I know you do. I know you do. The way he pitched it.
Yeah, but the way he just pitched it with the whole darkness thing, man, it seemed like an occult. Is this an occult?
Is it? See the pros and cons. It could be considered
a cult.
Before we get the questions rolling, let's hear about what it is we're speaking of specifically.
Okay.
Well, he lets you start that off, because apparently my friends are like trying to.
Because we about to start asking a bunch of questions before they even know what we're talking about.
No, I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing. I ain't. Look at that English. I ain't got nothing. Good God Almighty.
I ain't good God Almighty.
You ain't got nothing to say, so it's cool.
Well, now ain't is in the dictionary now.
So. It is an AAVE.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, the first thing people ask me is kind of like the why. Well, let me just tell it real quick. So I have a vision of a new kind of religion. And I'd like to first kind of like outline and kind of develop some shared definitions first before delving into the idea that I've got.
Wait, because I could tell everybody in was like, what the fuck you talking about?
No.
I like that you're going to dive in that idea. That's what I'm saying. That's all. That's what I'm saying. I'm not knocking him. No.
I'm just in anticipation.
No.
I just want to know what's next.
Yes, that's it. We're in anticipation.
Yeah. So first, I kind of want to talk about religion in general and the pre-existing world religions and kind of how I see them, and see if y'all agree with kind of where I'm coming from on that side, and love to hear any kind of input. Please stop me at any time and be like, whoa, wait, we'll define that, whatever. So
we interject.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of feel like the problem with humanity, the problem facing humanity and our inability to collaborate and unite is at its core kind of a fundamental hierarchical thinking system that's infected humanity in a way where we are collaborative creatures, in my opinion. And we do best when we work together. We didn't we didn't survive against woolly mammoths alone.
Right.
That's true. We had to work together to figure out a way to go about it. So our collaboration is like the core of our humanity, and what is the only thing that's going to like allow us to move beyond the limitations of our society currently.
There is no community without collaboration.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's all about our common unity. And I feel like a lot of good has, humanity forms religions and things around philosophies in a way to both build community and find a unifying language about the mystery of reality. So that, there's cohesion there. Because there are a lot of questions in the beginning. There's a lot of not knowing what the hell is going on. Like, what is this lightning? What is this? What is going on here? And so like people were able to develop these myths and stories that explained what was happening in a way that kind of brought people together and was healing and good. But over time, these belief structures were put down onto paper and codified into rules and ethics and ways to live your life and all these kind of like just put down on paper in ways that, yes.
Do you think that dogmatic practices is the downfall of religion?
Wait a minute. He went deep real fast. Okay.
So before you answer that question,
the reason why I bring that up as a question is because I feel like, and I say this because I am a firm believer that everyone has their own individual journey. No two people will have the same journey to spiritual enlightenment. Will there be similarities, and will there be people to help you along the path? Sure. That's always going to be the case. Like you just said, there is no community without collaboration. Hence, there is no exploration of self without the support of those around you. Even upon your own journey, you're going to come across individuals in your life that will either affect you internally or externally. Just that's how life works. So the reason why I asked that question is because I feel like that's what separates extremists or fundamentalists versus those that actually are seeking things with an open mind in order to, gain whatever enlightenment they are trying to aspire towards.
Yeah. To respond to your question of, do I believe that dogmatic religion is, or like the application of dogma with religion is the downfall of religion? And basically, I think I would agree with that.
Yeah,
okay. Especially dogma that isn't provable.
Well, y'all see that it creates separationalism in the sense.
Division,
so
absolutely.
That's and to go to what you said earlier, really it's the ego that kind of broke up. Like, I feel like it's a lot of people who want
control,
a form of control. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, when you have people who have had a spiritual experience and they believe that they have communed with God, and they want to share it with other people. They believe that they have broken through something that has been impeding their friends and family. They want to help the people around them. And that's where the drive to share a divine experience comes from. Perhaps. I don't want to speak in absolutes. I'm really not a scholar, but I've had some experiences, right? So to answer your question about the dogmatic thing, yes, I think that the incorporation of unprovable dogma and story presented as fact is the problem.
Absolutely.
And
I only agree 95%.
And there's more to the problem. The real problem is man's propensity to utilize unprovable things as a way to prop up their own superiority.
Oh my gosh! You just described so.
Now we're talking.
So many. I literally
Now we're talking about human insecurity and lack of knowledge of self and a whole lot of other bullshit that does imply towards.
When extenuating, or like we'll say when the human factor is applied, is when things start getting hairy. When I say the human factor, I mean that to err as human means to err, is to make mistakes or to be selfish in the face of or in the presence of selflessness. If that makes any sense.
Can you? What do you mean by selfless in the place of selfishness,
or being selfish in the space of selflessness?
Okay. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So pretty much the reverse of your statement, which is that twist tie.
I didn't know that. I didn't know. The whole time I'm like, here you go, I got you. Hey. It'll go back.
But yeah, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that to sacrifice one's selfishness and oneself for the greater good or the greater betterment of not just yourself but those around you.
Right.
That in a nutshell.
Right.
But back to you. Yeah.
My apologies.
No. We're all here to learn.
Yeah, I love it.
Me too. That last time was sarcastic as hell. My nigga was
it really wasn't though. I felt you on that. I love it. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I love the sidetracks and definitions and like finding and seeking understanding amongst the group.
That's important,
and that's what it's all about.
Especially what you want to do. That's important.
This would be a start to this whole thing, anyway.
Absolutely,
to the religion.
So, which brings us to like the power of words and how words, in my opinion, I kind of think that words are the problem.
Me too.
Because words are divisive.
Right.
Because everything that you say can have different interpretations. And so when these people who had spiritual experiences went and shared it with their people and everybody was like, yes, this is great. We're also feeling this. Let's keep doing this and start like a regular ritual thing. And then that forms into like this religion thing. And
you just described Christianity.
People just start following that.
You just described Christianity to me.
All right.
What's up? Izzy?
Okay, got the hand up.
Because you're talking about words. Therefore you're talking about my sector, like, the poetry and words.
Right.
So, I'm a firm believer that, and I may not be a Christian, but I'm a firm believer that life and death lies in the power of your tongue.
Ooh,
meaning whatever you say can bring.
Okay.
Forth whatever,
we'll get over to that.
But it coincides with what you were saying about like words are complicated in terms of like
the interpretation factor.
Interpretation and the expression of whatever spiritual, whatever aspect of spirituality you're trying to bring about. You know what I'm saying? I do believe that because I do believe that words to certain individuals mean different things.
Yeah. And just to piggyback on that, I want to say a lot of us are saying the same thing, but using a different terminology.
Yep.
So that's where the complication or the separation it creates the division.
Exactly.
And because they're like raised in this one particular way, they've been trained to have like a closed mind, to not be open to a more broad perspective or higher knowledge, to really dig deep, to have an understanding of how all of it relates to the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
is that you?
No, you got it right. Hence why the Tower of Babel was so effective, if you believe in that. Right. But like real talk, no, like that. The communication is one of the biggest factors within humanity, like biggest driving force in humanity. If I can communicate with you, that opens up the doors to everything. To so many.
I see pros and cons to that.
At a base level, that's what this podcast is. It's a round table of communication.
Right.
But anyway, the point being is that, like, yes, you're right. Words can get muddled and words can get confusing.
So,
but in its rawest form, in energy and vibrations rawest form, lies within sound. And that's all I'm
Ooh.
going to say because I know
Because
that's where
sound creates vibration,
where
and
she's
the
going.
vibration creates matter. So when you speak and words,
Okay, we're
I'm
spoiling this man's
all right.
religion right
I'm
now.
sorry.
We're
I'm
literally-
sorry. I'm
we're literally
sorry.
spoiling this man's
But
whole
you did it.
religion.
Okay, I'm
We
gonna
did,
stop.
'cause
I'm gonna stop.
I'm literally
You
looking
did.
at
You
it.
did.
I'm sorry.
I'm
You
literally
did.
looking at
Because you
bros.
stepping all on what I've been saying
Yeah,
to everybody.
right.
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
looking
Like
at
this,
the-
My
the
bad. I'm
importance
sorry.
of
Sweezy, I'm sorry,
words.
bro.
You
My
know what I'm
bad.
saying? Like, come. All right, I'm gonna stop.
He ain't
Go
really
ahead.
sorry, but I do see the
Go
pros
ahead,
and
King.
cons of what you just said earlier.
I want to know what cons you see.
with words.
No, what he said.
Well,
So anyway,
I get to that.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
so you've got this group of people who had a spiritual experience, shared it with each other, and then they're like, "Oh man, we should share this with everybody. We should write it down." And as soon as they write it down, it's then on paper, and everybody who doesn't agree with it then becomes the enemy.
Right.
It becomes another. When you put an ideology onto paper like that is not defendable because it's based off of like spiritual experiences that you can't prove it. That's when the capital T truth, like the truth of the divine experience, no longer is able to be communicated to somebody else. It becomes a lower T truth. It becomes the story of that person. It becomes that person's own myth, which is beneficial
That's
to
like
other
if I
people.
was to say this, right? I'm gonna take this staff and I'm gonna stab it in the ground. It's gonna turn into a snake.
Yeah,
you could interpret.
Like basically, like say, like all right. So these people went through an experience, right? And these people back then went through this experience where they saw somebody hold a staff and then it turned into a snake on the ground or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, and then like I'm gonna tell somebody else this too. So like I'm like, yo, man,
I get what you're
know
saying
what I'm saying?
now.
Like, yo,
You
I
really
took
saw
like,
this.
it was said that this guy took a staff and put it in the ground and
It becomes a game of telephone.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, this guy, he took a staff and then he was holding it and then he stabbed it in the ground and it turned into a snake and it was crawling and
it was it's crazy that both of y'all caveat offing off each other about the game of telephone because literally in certain cultures and like ancient societies, that's literally that's literally like how these stories were like progressed. Like in
that's like I got that Kevinism, so I'm like
Kevinism.
I'm basically like trying to give like a
I see what you're saying.
My nigga
though.
say
a
Kevinism.
more like experimental way of conversating this. You know what I'm saying?
No. But I see what you're saying because
Your brain, your
what
perspective.
happened was
Yeah.
somebody told a
'Cause I'm
story.
listening.
Somebody told a story, and then they trained a mass group of people to generation after generation after generation to believe in the same stories that were told and didn't do any further research of what could possibly be out there aside from what they've been taught.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I get from what
And the
Kev is
other
saying.
and the piggyback on that kind of ideology is also with a caveat of this is the only way.
That's
Right.
You have to make everybody else
Right.
believe in this way.
I don't like
Right.
that.
And it's just like,
Right.
man,
So
that's
where
not
did-
where
is
it's
too much.
at.
I agree.
No,
That's
it's not.
Hell no.
I agree.
And of course, like I haven't read or touched the Bible in X amount of years or whatever. But besides that, with any religious text, I want to know at what point with whatever sector we're talking about where it's stated that this is the only way. There is no other way. Now, of course, in Christianity, it's clearly stated, like it's in the scripture where it's like, this is, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the
It's
life.
also mentioned in the Quran.
And then, of course, it's also mentioned, there's different mentions of it, but is it just the Western religions? Or like there are other religions that abide
Well,
by the same
Buddhism
code, or-
presents its
Buddhism, yep.
philosophy as
Yep.
this is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nothing else.
So
Yeah.
does it
Right.
does it make or break a religion to be like, this is the only way and there is no other way?
I would say it breaks.
Break.
It breaks it.
Okay.
This is what causes conflict.
This is where the conflict is.
And that's why I asked
And the
that.
reason I say that is because now, after 4,000 plus years, based off of my experience, so not just speaking that this is a fact, but just based off of my experience and the different people that I've run into in business because I see a lot of different people, right? We service like only like a few hundred people. So that's not the mass compared to everybody. So this is not a fact. But just based off of my experience, it seems as though there are more people now questioning what they've been taught.
Yeah.
Versus just continuing to believe the same practices.
Good for them. Good for
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah,
You gotta
yeah.
Can I
question
be
it.
in y'all mind? All
Pause.
Get up in there.
Pause.
Pause. Yeah.
Okay.
So imagine,
Hey, yeah, hold up.
hey, look, man. This damn patrol hit me, man. Hey, look, check this out. This Patron told me to tell y'all this, right?
Goddamn. All right, well, speak, Patron. Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
So if this entity, I don't even know if that's the right word.
No, that's a perfect word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Continue.
this entity come down out of the space with this bright ass light shining around it, and it comes down, and everybody got it on news, and and then he say, "I am whatever religion, and this is the only way." And then he do like a bunch of magnificent shit.
Well, at that point, I'll believe it.
But you get
okay.
what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, at that point, I'll believe it.
I don't know. I might still
this is
question it.
where-
I
right.
still
Does
might
it
question
take
it.
something like that for everybody
This
to
is
say,
where-
okay, this is the fucking
Yeah,
way?
I don't believe it because I
Personally,
I still
personally.
question it. I still question it.
Everybody's gonna question.
I'm still
They're
gonna
gonna be
question
like,
it.
what?
'Cause
fuck-
it's TV.
What alien is that?
I would
I
even
believe in aliens.
See, that's what I'm saying.
I believe in
No, no, no,
aliens.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
like,
look, imagine
one
like,
person-
say you see it on TV and shit.
But I question TV.
I would still.
I'm gonna give you-
It's a good
Okay, so-
question.
I'm gonna give you a prime
let's get
example.
the- let's
I'm
get-
gonna give you a prime example why I would question on TV. So I promise you, I'm gonna alley oop it to you, Izzy.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
There was a situation that came out, I believe, in 2009 or 2010. Animal Planet was releasing a documentary
Oh, I know
making
what
it
you're
look like
talking
there was
about.
mermaids. I sat there in the fucking living room, y'all,
This man thought it was
believing
a
that there was
mermaid.
mermaids
It was a documentary.
because it was right because it was on what? It was
Animal
on
Planet.
Animal Planet, and they made it look like not Homo sapiens, but some form of a sapien swimming in the ocean, hominoid, was like mermaids. So for
But
that
what if
6
they
months,
say-
I'm walking around, y'all. I even went to DJ Barbarian. Yo, motherfucker, guess what? There's some fucking mermaids. And come to find out, it didn't happen. It was a whole lie.
But
It was
this is what I'm saying.
CGI. It
But
was
that's all I was trying to get to that point though.
right.
What if what if this shit says, come, and like say
Nah,
you
bro.
drive there.
Nope.
That Patron strong as fuck, ain't it? Good God Almighty. Damn.
Hey, look though.
Damn.
Look.
So the entity say
Nope.
come?
All right, what if it
I
happens?
question it.
Look,
Fuck.
what if it
But
happens?
then he didn't respond to it
Listen
as
to
like
me.
a
What if it
physical
happened in-
being. He's making like he said an entity. You
That
know what I'm
makes it
saying?
even
So let's
worse.
be
It could be good or
clear.
bad.
Oh my bad. Well, look. What
You
if,
know what I'm
what
saying?
What if this happened in Raleigh, and it's like being broadcast or whatever? It's like not so far away from you.
So you're saying that an
That
ethereal
I
being
believe in
touchdown in North
aliens.
Carolina in 2023? I don't trust it.
And look,
I know.
look,
It ain't the
look.
nation's capital. It's
Look.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
That's your first giveaway.
It ain't Area 51. It's Raleigh, North
But
Carolina.
what if this thing tell you that I am the truth? Like you can come see
It's
me.
a setup. Look,
But this the thing about
This
that's
is
what I'm saying,
this
though.
is the
It's mentioned in
reaction.
the
Would you
Bible.
be willing to go and find out if it really is what it is?
It's
Yeah,
mentioned-
I'd definitely be
it's
willing to
mentioned
go
in
and
the
find out
Bible,
about
y'all.
it.
This is gonna be the part about people.
I would go.
actually
So,
get,
It's
like,
mentioned in the Bible
I ain't
and in the Quran.
I ain't
Be
going.
careful for what the eyes see.
it's not. So it's not even the
Mhm.
scripture of false prophets that gets me. It's the fact that we on this floating blue rock in the middle of nowhere. Let's be honest. We are in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. And then the alien is veering off the main highway and they come on old Route 66. Like, yeah, I'm gonna stop through here for the nostalgia. And they pass by old planet Earth and be like, oh shit, no, it ain't what it used to be. No, regardless of all that, the point that I'm making is that we are in relation to the grander scheme of things so fucking minuscule.
Yeah.
Small. Meaning that
That's
anything
true.
out there could exist
I
and
think-
be of a greater presence or far along I don't want to say the evolutionary chart, but far
I like
along.
that because that's what I'm trying.
I agree with you 100%,
It's
but I
like a
also
mixture-
disagree.
Well,
I'm trying to get some
I look at-
understanding. We talking about religion.
So I look at how I look at space, and I look at it in a couple of different lenses. The lens that I'm talking about right now is kind of similar to the lens of like an H.P. Lovecraft, where
Shut the fuck
where
up.
there are no.
No,
let me
continue.
let me explain the psychology, which is that space is so vast, space is so enormous. There's so much shit out there that we cannot explain, nor even come close to fathoming. That it is completely plausible that there are things that exist out there
Absolutely.
that we have not yet come across. Right. There is a certain paradox or theory called
the Figma or the Safimi or
the Fermi. But
paradox.
it's getting into like
now you
OD.
That's a whole different
whole, like,
that Fermi
of like beings and stuff. Meaning that there, like, my whole point is that there's stuff out there. Like, I'm not going to get in context of like the Fermi paradox. Look it up.
That's scary. Look it up.
There's different stuff. But point is that, like, of course, there are things that are out in existence that could be of some sort of ethereal presence. That, yeah, sure, they make their big grandiose appearance known, like John Cena at WrestleMania. They come out to Earth being like, "What's up, y'all? Rolling with your boy? Like, come on, let's go with me." That's cool, but like, I don't know if it doesn't speak to me in a way that like touches a certain.
Yeah, it depends
part of
on
me.
how it feels.
There you go.
Yeah, it very much
feels.
so how it feels.
And it's no knock on anyone who decides to go along with Space Miss Frizzle on the Magic School Bus.
Hey,
like,
look, I ain't mean to be so vast.
Cool with that.
But look, I don't mean to be so vast. But like,
vast.
yo,
That's the scariest.
like
hell.
when you
that patrol
like, yo,
strong.
if you really like listen, if you really listen to what these people be saying, like they just be talking about it as if, oh, la, 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 la. And then you sitting there listening to it, I'd be like he did what?
And then half of them self-contradicting.
But I can actually watch somebody do a magic trick.
Mic check.
But I can watch somebody do a magic trick in the presence, and it'd be like they take this dollar, they fold it up, shit gone. Then
that's why they say that faith is
man.
not everything that you see.
Right, but think about what I'm saying though. Like, far as what's being said.
I understand what you're saying
in these books or whatever.
I understand what you're saying, and what it is you're going off of the faith
contextualization,
the faith of works, the faith, the belief in like I see, or the belief that what I'm seeing in front of me has to be factual because I see it happening in front of me. Yes, without any context or factual knowledge, just. Put that in. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
My goal is to create something that is spiritually enriching that doesn't depend on things like this. That is grounded and centered in the observable physics of our reality.
Yeah. That would make a big difference in what we talk about.
Microphone check.
My bad.
Right. So, you know, what we're getting to, should I just deliver it?
Please
deliver it. Speak
the elevator pitch.
Okay, so this is the elevator pitch. You might kick it at the beginning of the thing, and then they'll be like, "What is that?" And then they can get through it all.
Explain the pitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the shot as soon as you get done. As soon as you say, "I'm done," that's the pitch. I'm drinking this. I'm gonna be like, "Well, folks, that was it."
You start drinking that liquid licorice.
Yes, I am drinking this liquid licorice. Now let me hear my man's elevator pitch.
Hell no.
Let's hear the religion.
Give it to us, bro.
So I propose a new kind of religion here for us people. It's called Sonology. It's based on sound itself as being the ultimate metaphor for our experienced reality, as well as just kind of like what makes up our shared existence here. At the very core of our observable physical reality are particles that are in constant motion, constantly vibrating,
neutrons,
all the way down to the smallest and to the largest. Our lives are ruled by cycles.
I agree with that cycle statement.
I'm going to wait for him to finish the pitch. Go ahead.
Our lives are ruled by cycles. And that's what sound is a cycle between high pressure and low pressure. And I believe that when you incorporate words into a religion, it creates an other. And that the religion of the future is one that can be a vessel for all thought and philosophy. So the goal here is to create an organization that is spiritual in nature, that creates a holding place like a vessel for people to have an experience of the divine. Sonology is based on 4 tenets. The first one is there's no one path to the divine. The second one is divinity cannot be defined using human language. Words can't do it.
Okay.
They are fallible in nature because of their inherent misunderstandings. But also when man creates a representation of the divine, it no longer is the divine.
So would that also be to say that it's not what you say, but the intention behind it?
That would be, yeah. I mean, that would be a furthering of that.
Okay.
Tenet. Yeah, sure. So the first one is there's no one path. The
Mhm.
second one is divinity cannot be defined using human language.
Mhm.
The third one is divinity can only be known through direct subjective experience.
So
Ooh.
So when I say
can we go to the
subjective,
third
so-
tenet? Can we touch on third tenet real quick? The
Okay.
reason why like that actually holds ground in other religions, because
Real quick, can you repeat the third tenet one more time?
Yeah.
The third tenet is that divinity can only be known through direct subjective experience.
Okay.
So no.
So what you
I thought that
subjecting
was
yourself
the
to?
fourth one. I thought so it's the second one where it cannot be defined in words.
Yes.
Right.
That's what I meant. So in the second tenet, the reason how that holds up is because, prime example, with my own personal experience of the practice of which we touched on this before the podcast, which is Messianic Judaism, or even in Judaism alone. If you notice in any written text, they do not write out God's name in full.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, there are similarities in Islam where they will never draw a picture of.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, it's very,
You know
very
what I'm saying?
disrespectful.
Because for some reason there are certain like expressions that still cannot fully express or grasp the divinity of the divine, of whatever it is that you're in search for. So yeah, I do believe that tenet holds true because it holds that similarity with other practices of you just can't explain the divinity.
Yeah,
You just
I
can't
simply
explain the
believe in
divine
it just based
in
off the
certain
law of
things.
vibration.
Which
You know,
is
just
literally-
off the law of vibration alone. So, like you're speaking
Can you
of
tell
a
us the
religion,
law of vibration?
just the law of vibration that sound creates vibration and vibration creates matter. You know,
Mhm,
literally, and I've seen this scientifically. Things take shape just off of vibrating. You know what I'm saying? And I actually live my day-to-day life off of this belief system, you know? And my question to what you were just saying would be, so would you say that God is a vibration versus whatever ideology it is that
I believe
religion
that,
has created
The
it to
thing
be?
is,
I believe
there's
that
no
things-
answer to that.
Yeah. My only answer to that is that I believe that whatever entity or this actually holds true to anything that exists on whatever plane of existence, is that whatever frequency that you are vibrating on, like for example, everyone in this room right now, we are tuned into to the same frequency. Think of it as your radio. You know what I'm saying? All of us are right now tuned in to Coast 97.3, along with the rest of everyone on this floating blue rock. You know what I'm saying? But that does not mean that there are not individuals that don't have the ability to like, you know, be able to like hear or like tune.
I'd argue that all people have the ability.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree with you on that. So all people have the ability to change the radio
They've
dial.
just built walls.
Exactly. There, yeah.
Better.
There you go. There you go.
I don't know about that.
There are
Should build
barriers.
walls.
I feel like there are barriers.
There
in
are
place,
people
but everyone
with
but-
things that don't fire correctly.
Okay.
and so that I do agree with him that everyone is something that everyone has the potential to access. But yeah, it's like a radio. Like we are all tuned into a certain frequency, and it's just that some people have been able through either practice, natural ability, combination of the two, have been able to be able to do these
Yeah,
certain
which is
things.
what makes me, and not to say that this is true at all, you know, because aside from this conversation right here, this is like the closest that anybody has ever come to my belief. Honestly
Right on.
I
speaking.
literally said, when I heard his statement, I said, oh, this is,
Yeah.
Brittany would fuck with this episode.
Right.
Like, I
The
love
This
goal
is
is to
like-
create something that's just it gives form to what we're already doing.
Right.
Yeah,
Which
okay.
is what I believe vibration does.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why my ideology comes back that everything had to first be off of some type of frequency.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We wouldn't be here.
So that okay, I'm gonna stop right
Big
here.
Bang
Go ahead.
Theory.
What's your last tenet?
On your let's hear the
Finish
fourth
the
tenet.
sentence, yeah.
So the 4 tenets. The first one is divinity, or there's no one path to the divine.
Mhm.
The second one is human language cannot define the divine.
Mhm.
3, divinity can only be known through direct subjective experience. The person has to have their own experience of the
Mhm.
divine. And the fourth one is we believe that music has the power to provide that experience.
The music does transcend language.
So what makes this a religion?
So can I before you answer, can I
Let's
kind of caveat on top of that?
Yes.
So I, as a practitioner of words and believing that there is a precision to vernacular, there's a precision to your oratorical presence, you know what I'm saying, or what you're trying to get across.
Can I give you one other side of this real quick
Yes,
that
you
you're
can.
going to really appreciate?
Yes.
So, I've been thinking about this for the last 3 years, and the raw divine is only half of what this is. So the actual experience of the divine. The other half is the story. Because there's a lot of value in pre-existing religions and traditions that have been passed down for thousands of years. And from all traditions, there's a value in the stories that are passed down. There's
I agree.
value in the myth.
Mhm.
And there's power. There's these stories, these books that these religions have passed down are valid. And they have a lot of really great advice for
Right.
us as a society.
So this still goes into the question I was going to ask you. First of all, you just explained all your tenets and you beautifully explained like your craftsmanship. So for that, I will take the shot.
Cheers.
Take a shot
Cheers.
out.
So now, my question I'm going to ask you is, how do you differentiate between your ideology being a practice versus a religion?
Right.
Which also goes into the kind of like a side question is, for you personally, what do you see as the difference between a practice and a religion? And does that also affect the greater goal or the greater aspirations that you have for this in terms of like its purpose?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And does this purpose hinge on the label of it being a religion versus a practice?
Okay.
So great question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a complicated answer.
Mm-hmm.
There are multiple aspects of it for like why I'm going in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
Not the least of which is tax exemption.
Understood.
Okay,
So you're not trying to cruffle a dollar your way through this, pretty much.
Right.
Understood.
Now the other alternative of that
And
is,
would
why
that
is
be-
this not a nonprofit organization? Why is it a religion? And because it is. It's about our relationship with the divine.
But personally, I feel that in order for something to be a religion, it has to be some type of something that everybody.
There's some sort of like a sense of there. I guess it's
Community?
Society. Like, I see what you're saying. Society-wise perception, there has to be some sort of like stability, some sort of like brick and mortar stability to
Not
it.
necessarily brick and mortar,
at
but
least
more so
ritualistic.
like something
Okay.
like
Ritualistic part,
almost
yeah, that's- I
like
agree.
because most religions do what? They say things
Congregate.
together, they congregate, they say these speeches together in
Whenever
cult-like
two or
behavior.
more-
You know what I'm
two or more are
saying?
gathered in my name, surely I am in the midst. Meaning that the aspect of those practices can happen anywhere.
Right. Because religion is not only just a business. So you just said that basically, we know that religion is a business. We know that it's I personally know that it's a triangle business. You know what I'm saying? And I can respect it as such for whatever reason. I have several opinions on that we won't touch on right now. but I know that what organizes, like a religion is usually an organization, so to speak, and there's usually like a guideline that they give people to live by. And then not only do they give them this guideline, but like Tim said, they congregate, they say these speeches together, they pay these fees, and this is what organizes them as an organization, hence religion slash religion, right? So what would make this a religion versus a spirituality practice?
Yeah, totally. So it's called a songregation.
Okay. You just answered.
I kind of had a chuckle on that one too. Like, okay, I get what you're doing, but you being funny. Like, I get it.
But think about it like this. He's not really wrong.
He's not wrong.
You ain't slick. You ain't wrong, but you ain't slick either.
You ain't slick. No, you ain't slick at all.
Nah, man,
but
I'm smooth.
If you think about the history of Jehovah's Witnesses and how that was organized, I see pros in that, and not knocking anybody who's a Jehovah's Witness. I see cons. So you on this journey of finding what's the name of your religion again? Sonology. What are some of the cons that you are aware of besides the pros? Since I know you got many pros, but I can see the cons there, but I want to see.
I got two questions on the table.
One is would be like devil's advocate.
One is, what does this look like? Mm-hmm. This is kind of what I've boiled down your question, Brittany, and then yours is, what was it again?
The con, like what's that cons like that just stand out?
What are the pitfalls here?
Right. Because every religion I feel like is a pitfall. I mean, I'm an atheist, and I feel like there's some pitfalls in and not knocking your religion.
I think that perhaps as I answer Brittany's question, you'll see the road more.
Okay.
And then we'll go into how is this not a cult?
That's why. That's what I was literally. That's the main pitfall, and I was literally going to get to that.
Right.
So,
you don't serve Kool-Aid, do you?
Oh hell no!
I was thinking coffee, but
that's even worse.
You say coffee.
Can we go to herbal tea or something?
I'm a coffee guy. On some black like Folgers.
Not Folgers.
I'd rather have the Kool-Aid, bro.
I don't know about Kool-Aid.
I'll take the herbal tea for $1,000.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take
okay.
I'll take the green tea herbal.
We don't want no Kool-Aid, no diabetes.
Is this chamomile? All right, cool.
Yeah.
You said Kool-Aid.
All right.
Sugar high.
So I serve ginger lime water.
So wait, is this turned to a topic of like what is going to be our death cocktail if we were in a cult? Because like I'm definitely down for the herbal tea.
We're voting over here.
Scary thing is shit like that actually happens. That's the scary thing.
Over here, you know what I'm saying? I
like that's the scary thing. It's not funny. The scary
thing. No, those are cults of personality. Yeah. But so let me answer these two questions. So the first one is, what's this really look like, man? Like how is this a religion? So the vision is ideally having a brick and mortar, right? But that brick and mortar is would be more like a music venue. There would be a stage and like a lounge area. And the regular meeting, like Catholics go to mass, yada, yada, is called a songregation. So it'd be a weekly event that takes about an hour to do.
Bless you.
Excuse me. And what it consists of is you get the highest fidelity sound system possible, set it up in front of, rows of chairs.
You are smart.
And thank you.
That's random.
I'm sorry.
You good.
It's just my connection to sound and vibration.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You good.
I'm a hush.
Don't drink
what
that.
Is that?
Don't
is
drink
that.
That's
I'm definitely not drinking hand sanitizer. I'm sorry.
Hand sanitizer.
Izzy, you are incredibly smart, Izzy. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, you're good.
Well, I'm not sorry.
Yeah, don't be.
But just to give you a compliment too. You're great.
So the regular meeting is called a songregation. And at the songregation, this is what you can expect. You'll come in. There'll be some kind of like a person greeting you. I'm thinking like paper cups for coffee or tea, and that plays a role later. And then when the time comes, we sit around sit in the chairs, and the only words being used in the songregation are at the beginning, kind of telling people what to expect and like what's going on here. So those words would be something to the effect of, "Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate your participation. We're going to go through 3 movements of music, which are X, Y, and Z. And in between each movement of music, you're going to hear an acoustic sound bath with acoustic singing bowls, gongs, flutes, that kind of thing, kind of as a palate cleanser. At the very beginning, we're going to play pink noise, which is noise that is full frequency bandwidth, so that you will all be exposed to all of the frequencies that you can hear.
432
included by
That's
all
real.
means, from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. And then you'll hear a sine wave sweep from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz so that you can hear each frequency individually. In this way, we kind of tune the audience to like have a
There's
frame
a
of
science behind
reference.
that. There's a
No,
science
there's
behind
a
that.
great
to
science
have a
behind
frame
this,
of
yes.
reference of what they're about to hear.
Mhm.
Once once the
So shout out to DJ Barbarian for getting my sis pocketbook.
absolutely
Off-screen shit is happening. Let's keep it at that. Off-screen stuff is happening.
I'm pretty sure that's in the take, but yeah.
His
so
dreads are in the take.
so then we have that experience. We have a shared experience of the pink noise, the sine wave, the 3 movements of instrumental music from around the world.
This sound like a big ass meditation fest.
And that's
Yeah.
essentially what it is.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity
Okay.
to have a shared meditation without an individual up there telling you what to think and do.
Mm.
That's right.
Mm.
That's no
So it's an opportunity to have a shared musical experience that should potentially elicit emotions and experiences within the congregation. And the idea is to encourage them to then write their experiences on their paper cup.
Interesting.
Then,
I like that.
so
I
the
love
idea
it.
is we
I like
have a
that.
shared experience.
Mhm.
That's the experience of the divine. That's the subjective. Everybody has a subjective experience. And then
But their own personal
their own thing.
experience, right?
And then after that, we have a potluck and we share food with each other. And projected around the room would be local art that's for sale with the artist's name and whatever. So we're promoting local art along with teaser questions to ask people you don't know. Like, what was your experience like? That's not that question.
Pretty
but
much
it's
your
like
it
something
sounds
else.
like all you need is shrooms. All right, I'm just kidding, but not really.
No, what
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
for
sorry.
certain,
It's like
for certain people, because it's not fair.
I wanted to ask
Well,
you
let me
though.
ask-
I wanted to ask you though. Would that be allowed, or would it be more like you just got to go off of what you get, what you're given?
I feel like that's also another thing as well in terms of like, I guess it's because it's something I just thought of in terms of like something that somebody who is starting a religion or who is starting a practice or whatever probably has in the back of their head, which is individuals that come to my meeting, like, are they inebriated in a certain sense? I mean, not saying that that's any of your business, but
that's debatable
So
though,
dealing
because I
with
don't
the
feel like shrooms can
Well,
technically
not- okay, that would
alleviate.
say
Well, no, but it's still a valid.
inebriation.
It's still a
Yeah.
valid
inebriation,
thing.
altered states. There
Okay.
we go.
So
Yeah.
listen.
But would do
drug.
shrooms really alter? Well, in a sense,
It is. It's an
Oh yeah,
altered
it
state.
does.
It's
You can
They do.
absolutely
Yeah, you're right.
grip on reality and
I
believe
have.
your
I had an
God
ego
and
death.
do
Definitely.
some stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so-
people do some stuff.
I
on
grew
that.
wings
So-
on
so
shrooms.
I-
so
so-
yeah.
Yeah. So my question too is like, is there a certain structure or a certain plan in place where if you do have certain individuals that do decide to be a part of your congregation during altered states, like will there be certain ways to deal with individuals if they say go outside of a certain like I don't want to say I guess standards or guidelines, or if there is something that is happening with this person in their altered state that is in turn affecting the greater part of the congregation in a negative way, are there ways to mitigate that?
Yeah.
You know?
So this is a problem
That's a
that,
good
that we
question.
constantly are running into. I throw events,
Mhm.
especially like electronic music events.
Yeah.
And our primary defense against that is cultivating a community of thinkers and feelers and compassionate people who can be there for other people. And that's part of why I've taken a long time to start this, because I want to start it with a core group of people who can handle things like
Sounds
that.
tedious.
So does that...
Now I have more to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have thought about, because like one of the things is like, be wary of any individual who tries to tell everybody something. So anybody who's trying to command the attention of many people is somebody that you should be wary of.
I do that naturally.
So I've thought about like, well, so say you've got fundamentalist Christians infiltrating the situation and then just like trying to share Bible verses and stuff like that. Like, it's a similar kind of thing. Like somebody tripped out real hard and is trying to be like, I am talking to God right now. And like, whatever.
What you're stating too also goes against like one of your tenets. Like I've been keeping track. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
it does go against one of the tenets.
What?
The having the eyes on self because of your own personal experience, in the sense of like what you're talking about, of like someone trying to co-opt this and turn it into something that it isn't. Like they're trying to like give it a certain like focal lens that isn't conducive for the greater vision that you already have in place.
What a tenet is that against?
I think, if I'm mistaken though, you said that it'll only be certain words said in the beginning.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm talking about. The concept of like bringing words, that form of communication into the space, because, like you said, this is a space where words are not.
I hear you, and it's an important thing to talk about. The reason why I'm validating the words that I'm considering in the beginning. Number one, the words that are said in the beginning are going to be agreed upon by the board of directors.
Oh no, it's not an invalidation.
No. Here, let me finish. Those words will be like defined by a group, and those words will be about what's happening, not how to feel, what to do, or how to think.
Right.
It's just a greeting.
Let me ask you.
It's not even really, a greeting, but to say this is what we're here for.
This is what's going to happen.
Right.
Because if nobody says you're about to get hit with pink noise and a sign sweep, people are gonna be like, "What the fuck is happening?" If nobody told them.
Especially if people have never heard those sounds before or are not familiar with what that.
Now I'm open to there not being any words, and that's a decision that a group needs to make.
But you're not. Let me ask you this question: so if somebody wants to come in who's Christian or Islamic traditions, or like me, I'm an atheist, will I be able to just like, will they be welcome in your congregation?
Absolutely.
That's what I want.
People from all pre-existing religions or traditions are welcome. The only thing that you have to do have to is a strong word, but the thing that is asked of people coming from pre-existing traditions is that you renounce the one thing that many religions have.
That's so hard for a lot of people to renounce.
Listen,
that's true.
No, that you
I'm
renounce
gonna let you finish.
that your path is the only path for everyone.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's the only thing you have to renounce. You can carry on your tradition and your story.
But I personally believe that anybody drawn to his religion would have to first have the desire to.
Most of the people that come are already there. Yeah.
Right. Because you're not going to attract anything that you don't really desire.
You've already broken down those barriers.
And they're looking for something new.
Right.
Where do I fit in?
Right. So if they are even like, for me, I was born and raised Christian, though I'm not Christian now. You know what I'm saying? But before I was able to step outside of the Christian mindset, I first had to have a desire that there had to be something more outside of what I was taught. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I personally feel like that would not even be like a major conflict unless someone was intentionally coming to cause a conflict.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So now we get to conflict management. Because there will be conflict.
Right.
And what I've thought about for that is having what's the term for new conflict management program? Shucks. It's where like the group comes together with the individual and addresses it in a open way.
Not risk management, like
it's conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's a method.
You have a system.
New restorative justice.
Okay.
Restorative justice practices. So I'd like to have basically there's a board of directors, right, that has to manage the nonprofit aspects of the 501c3 religion. And then there's also the divinity school.
Hold on. So you really, let me just interject. I'm so sorry. Everybody been interjecting. So you really gave it some thought. The moment you start mentioning about taxes, like that's a whole, money-wise. I don't think people understand.
It's a big part of it.
It's a big, major part of it. So I'm like, all right, you've been giving some thought about it. Go ahead.
So there's a big picture here that I'd like to deliver to you. The vision is a brick and mortar facility that's like a music venue, right? Now, some backstory. I used to live at an artist commune in Asheville. It was like 35 hippies hanging out.
Okay.
We had like a warehouse, some apartments, a house, a bunch of yurts, and school buses and shit.
That's what's up.
And our primary way of making money would be to throw events. So we would do like a solstice event, like for summer and winter, that kind of thing.
Went to solstice.
But you couldn't charge because it was in a residential area. So as a residential place, you couldn't be doing commercial activity, couldn't sell alcohol, couldn't do anything like this. And we had a bunch of meetings being like, well, we could be a religion. We could establish this as a church. And if this is a church, then you can do monetization of events. You can make and sell food without FDA oversight. You can easily get alcohol permits and make money off of that. You can take donations, tax deductible donations, all these benefits. We could never come up with something that we all agreed on because it's a very diverse community. And so that's kind of like a foundational, like, what if we could come up with something that everybody could actually subscribe to? So the big vision is, okay, so we established this new religion that is like, if you do congregations on a weekly basis, you could claim yourself as a church. Then you start having all these artist communes then become churches and able to do monetization of their art and take donations and have that feed into the artist community all around the country.
Okay.
It's the support system.
In addition to, there's other like religious things, like where if we make headphones a part of like the religious garb, then like autistic people who need music to like be calm in public places could then be like, no, this is like a religious thing.
Facts.
And like people who need music to be a certain way as their medicine, then they can be like, this is my religious exemption.
In a nutshell, because like, so, and you pretty much like answered the question for me in terms of like it being a practice versus a religion. I see the difference now, because the difference is the greater benefit of working the system to help the community out.
Absolutely. Robin Hood type.
Exactly.
Yep. And if we piss off the right people,
then
we could end tax exemption for the churches.
Right.
And the thing is,
at the end, like either way, at the end of this, some good will come out of it.
The reason why.
May I?
Okay. Before you, the reason why I brought it on the podcast, y'all, is I painstakingly tried to find. I always judge people based on everybody say they don't judge, they're lying. Everybody judge unconsciously or consciously. But the thing is, I judged on this notion, pretend gestures of admiration, hidden agendas, and I have not found. My problem with your religion is not. I don't have a problem with it, but I'm trying to find the hidden agenda.
Because
and I don't.
You know what I want to say? I just want to say.
And that's what I was getting
to.
Trying
to
because
find.
Tim,
there's a hidden agenda.
Everything that you're saying, and I'm not trying to at no means by know-it-all anything, because it's a possibility that the things that you're speaking of could very much so not be true, technically speaking, right? Because nothing around us is actually real, but we create the realities amongst us, right? But this is the very same thing that I've been saying to Tim for so long now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, It feels really good, you know, to have
somebody who can
Validating.
reciprocate and validate
yes,
yourself.
because
yeah.
I mean, personally, what you're speaking of, Tim very much so aware, Kev very much so aware. You know what I'm saying? But this is like my daily practice, you know? So it's like, even
does it feel good to have confirmation?
So
not necessarily feel good to have confirmation, but it feels good to know that I'm not the only person that's
alone.
thinking on this
Right,
perspective,
right.
this
Yeah.
level of perspective.
It's
you
the
know
new
what I'm saying?
paradigm. I'm trying to figure
Definitely
out
a
some
new
kind of vessel for the
paradigm,
new
you know?
paradigm.
And not even just that, because like when I like officially left my church when I left like 9 years ago, right? And I had a phone call from my old pastor, and we were speaking and catching up. You know, he was kind of checking on me and checking in. And I'm like, well, no, because I believe this now. And this is like kind of my way. And most of the time when you're speaking with this type of verbiage, you know, in society, yet we're
Frowned
still
upon.
very small people. You know what I'm saying? But even he said, oh, I understand now. Like you are on a much broader perspective of spirituality versus being complacent
nice
to
of him to
one
recognize that.
place. Well,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
But it also made me recognize that there are a lot of pastors that are aware of this higher knowledge, but they only choose to teach in this one in particular.
I think that also goes along with the fact that, like, which also speaks about, like, the thing I want to caveat of which you spoke of, and you also just spoke of, which is any questions or things that have been brought forth to you in regards to your religion, which I'm pretty sure you've come across since you have had this grander vision, is these are questions bred out of trauma, out of religious trauma.
Yeah.
So these are the
Great
questions.
observation.
Yeah, these are questions that are being asked because these are questions that the people watching this podcast or listening at home have some of the same reservations, which is, you know, it's almost like the I can't believe it's not butter, like example where you're like, well, I'm used to this. I'm used to things being like this, but you're telling me that this is not
It
butter.
challenges the
You're
perspective.
telling me that like this
that
is
isn't
this ain't it.
Yeah.
And then you go to taste it and you're like,
Oh,
well, hold on, wait a
it's
minute.
not
This
bad.
tastes like
Yeah.
the shit that I used to know where I was a part of, but it's something completely different.
It
me,
is.
it's like,
You know,
for me, it's
It's
like
something that I've been hearing from Brittany for the past year.
You ever heard of gateway drugs? So this is like
This is the gateway to freedom.
It's red pilling.
Hold on,
Okay.
real quick. So you heard of gateway drugs? This
Yeah.
is like gateway religion.
But you know what I take from this is that this is
Gateway
not even
knowledge.
actually a religion, but just the organization of it is what makes it a religion.
It's a new kind.
you on the note.
It's
you on the
different
nose.
than the ones that came before. If you can come up with a better
You
word
try,
for it,
you
I'm
like-
all ears.
Well, I mean,
really am.
but
And maybe-
you have to, because but what he just said, to monetize his business, to support what he's doing, to create opportunity or create financial support in a nutshell,
Mhm.
I have to organize this belief as a religion, and they'll either break the way that they've been doing it or have to
Gateway-
accept us. Either way,
Gateway
it
religion.
works for the people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Regardless, what you're onto is something that can be eye-opening for others. The reason why I say that is because it involves your tenants.
I do like that. I do like
that
you noted in that
in
sentence.
specifics.
It's not rules, but
the-
it's sentence. I like that.
Right. The reason being is because those tenants is your foundation. You're very well aware of that. You know what I'm saying? And for me, in my daily spiritual practice, which I'm not going to divulge on mic just because I'm kind of personal about that. I'll explain off camera for y'all that want to know.
Yeah,
but-
I'm like, what the hell you mean?
No, because but I will say this: what I do practice, is in regard to the reasonable and the realistic, logical translation of how we understand, bless you, everything around us. Not just the grander part of the universe, but everything, because everything is well connected.
Everything is a
So-
vibration.
That's why I say, as a personal individual who is on their own journey of spiritual enlightenment, there are aspects of your religion that I get down with, because to me, I look at what you're doing as therapy,
as healing.
as
And that's
healing
the ultimate
Absolutely.
goal,
process.
community healing. Yeah.
Meaning, I don't have to personally be invested in your religion in the
Right.
sense of like, this is my religion,
Right.
but what you are offering up to the community as a
Form of an
whole
alternative.
is a free alternative to some very deep therapeutical healing
Mhm.
that a lot of certain sectors of society are not exposed
Right.
to, or
Yeah.
we do not have the accessibility
Right. It's
to
like
be a part
Reiki
of.
in a mass.
It's like
I
this
can
is
see
why-
that.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
I got you. This is like every gentrified or like high-end yoga studio in whatever rich ass
Yep.
neighborhood. That's their own personal. That's every rich white person, every rich white woman's like personal therapy. Oh my God, I'm going to yoga at 3.
Well, another,
I mean, but I'm not a rich white lady,
the
but
thing
that's
is,
my
like,
therapy.
I want,
You know
I
what I'm
want
saying?
to provide access to the community to these things that people pay crazy amounts of money for, which is like sound therapy and
Right.
healing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it bothers me when people monetize healing like that.
Right.
And
Oh
especially
my
like, because I went to massage school. I became a
Okay.
licensed massage therapist, and I had a really hard time like charging people
Yeah,
for the
you're
work.
You're not the pervy dude that has a yoga studio.
I couldn't be a
But not
massage
even.
therapist.
I'm not gonna say
No,
that. I'm not
I
gonna
feel
say
you.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's
I'm
the
not
problem
going
I
to
have
go
with
to
organized
and
religion.
it's a
Yeah, I got you.
decentralization.
I
of
can't
that
go
kind
too
of
deep. We'll
medicine
need another episode.
is the goal.
That's my
Yeah.
problem with the religion. And this is why I knew you had to come on here. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
I gotta bring you on here.
And
Sis would
also
agree with you.
the other thing is like the goal is to create a place where people with varying traditions and varying practices
It still come.
can, well, not even just still come, but they're an integral part of the wisdom that's shared within the congregation.
Mhm.
Because the wisdom that's passed down through like religions and stuff, like the goal is to not be hierarchical about the
And I like
knowledge
that.
and the access. The
Or a
goal is
gatekeeper.
the goal is to create a vessel where students will find teachers and teachers will find students naturally, not in a hierarchical, this is how it is, we're going to tell you, but in a, you're naturally attracted to this person and they've had all these life experiences and you're going to learn from them.
I think what you're
I've
doing
seen
That's
his
my
religion-
natural
It's
life
faith in the glue of
experience.
humanity.
I think what you're doing
Yeah.
is very like groundbreaking. Well,
Absolutely.
I think your vision is groundbreaking in the sense that you're trying to do something that operates in the realm of religion, but also
But it's more than
operates
that, though.
outside.
Absolutely.
I don't see that just
It
religion,
includes
though.
the other
And
half
that's-
of humanity.
I see
Right,
That's what I'm
right.
getting at, and that's what I'm
Right.
getting at.
It's
It's not
the
just a
atheists, the
religion.
scientists, the agnostics.
The
They
obvious.
can all get
It is some-
behind
it is
the
some-
fact that reality is vibration.
Right.
And that's a valid thing to engage.
I mean,
Period.
you can't even argue
Do
that.
you listen? I'm sorry. You listen to Abraham Hicks?
I have in the
And-
past. So I have
Okay.
opinions about the secret stuff,
Okay.
which is that it's inherently
Who's
kind
Abraham
of ego.
Hicks?
Ego reinforcing. It's a slippery slope.
Okay.
You have to be really aware to utilize the law of attraction in a way that you don't start thinking that you're doing it.
Okay.
I think, and actually this opens up a whole can of worms, which is magic in general, which I, in all of my occult and like esoteric studies and practices, ultimately what I realized was this is just distrust in the universe. This is distrust in spirit itself. If you think you know better and want to
Yeah.
exert your influence on the will of spirit itself, and so this is getting into my personal ideology. This is separate from Sonology.
Right.
Sonology
Yeah,
is a
this
bare
something
bones
that-
thing.
Yeah, so this is something that it has nothing to do with your
Exactly.
your
The thing
what you
that
have
I'm
set
doing,
goal.
the thing that I'm building over here for
This is
people to
where
do their
you
thing.
deviate
This is
from
where
that.
I then become a teacher talking.
I
to
like
people,
that you explain.
separate from the church.
I like that
Mhm.
you separated and
Yeah.
explained that because it
Like,
gives
I might
it
end up
gives
with a cult.
clarity.
but it's not going to be Sonology.
Right.
It is, but what it is,
You know
that
what I
it
mean?
gives,
Okay,
it gives
reasonable.
clarity. It gives clarity to your vision.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That what you have to establish is still something that is bigger than yourself, because you are able to make the conscious separation that, well, I believe biasly that this is, but I am able to use logic and certain things to know that this is what I believe separate from what I know and is
And I
a
can't be
fact.
telling other people to believe
My
this.
whole thing is
So-
I'm not a like I agree with that statement. Like when you really think about it, for me,
it's
I
the
can't speak for
unification-
everybody else.
It for me, for what it looks like to me, is the unification of spiritual healing without the judgment of wherever your path takes
It's
you.
not
Not
just a
even
religion, it's
necessarily the
philosophy.
judgment, but the actual told to do. You know
It's
what
a
I'm
religion
saying?
and
Like,
philosophy. That's all I look
The
at.
reason why I say I do this is because like there's also with you know, in relation to religions, like historically there's condemnation in not following
Oh
certain
yeah,
guidelines.
You
right,
could
and
be
that's why I say
ostracized,
it's
you
more
could
so of
be
what they've
excommunicated.
been
Yes.
told. You know what I'm saying?
To bounce off that, the fundamental difference is that pre-existing religions are hierarchical. They're
Mhm.
top-down delivery of knowledge and practice.
Mhm.
That the people above you are telling you what you need to do to get to
Mhm.
their level.
Right.
Sonology is lateral.
I like that.
So,
The only knowledge that the church will deliver, like the only dogma, if you were to like categorize some aspect of this into dogma, is the physics of sound.
okay.
The scientific
all right,
observable
all right.
physics of sound.
And that's irrefutable.
Right.
Right? But my question
In this
to
dimension.
you, well, in my
we're
in
limited
my,
by our ability.
and that's just based off of my belief. You know, I don't believe that the synopsis of sound and what it creates in vibration is something that we can't get rid of this. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's something that's been there
Mhm.
since the
And
beginning
the
of
better
time.
grasp that
It
we
keeps
have
the-
on it, the better off we're all going to be.
Yeah.
Right. But my question to you would
Colleges
be,
of Research and Development for Sound.
Okay, oh yeah, nothing wrong with that.
do you
I know.
I want to say so much, but I don't want to get off subject.
Uh-huh.
You can
So-
get off subject a little bit. I'll bring you back.
I don't want to go too
You
far.
thirsty again.
I'm not thirsty.
I'm messing with you.
Okay.
Oh, sis,
It's
you know-
liquor.
You know I'm messing
It
with you.
smell like
You know I
cough
gotta
syrup.
mess with you. That's all.
I got a real question for both of y'all.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
heard.
Do you feel that it is a fine line between people feeling as if they're doing it versus a person feeling that they're coming into a divine alignment that could live inside of
Can
them?
Can I answer first and then you follow up?
Mhm.
So, yes, I do believe there is a fine line between that. The reason being is because there's always a fine line between what I believe could be self-interest
Mhm.
and the interests of the universe at large in terms of like what it is that you are seeking this
Yeah.
this reverent or like you're seeking this, you know, guidance from.
That's a good way to talk about the secret stuff that I was saying before.
Right.
Right. Yeah, there definitely is a fine line between, you know, in being mentally in your head being like, this is something that the universe has in mind for me, and the fine line between that and your own self-interest. I like think, for example, think about it, and I'm using this as a personal experience because there was a point in my life where I was emotionally invested with someone to the point where we were, you know, like engaged, you know what I'm saying? And I had it in my mind, even though I had, you know, how can I say it? I had the right, me personally, here we go. This is where it becomes a self-interest. I had the right intentions in mind, but it wasn't until later that I found out that my intentions don't mean shit
Mhm.
because I cannot, as you say, impose my will on
course not.
something that is
Absolutely.
already preordained or something that is
Absolutely.
already
Bigger than
in
you.
motion.
Right.
So when it came to the point where we
That's
separated
fate and
and
destiny.
went our different ways, a part of me was hard-headed because I didn't want to accept that this was the natural flow of how things were going to happen. No, what I wanted to do was to hold on to what I thought was still something that both of us in a consensual way still had for each other without actually seeking the counsel of the second person. Therefore, my self-interest and intentions perverted whatever the universe had in mind. It diluted, or it takes away from the grander scheme of the universe. So
Mhm.
it's like it's a question that I feel like you constantly have to ask yourself on a daily basis of how do I remove my ego from the situation?
Right. And
how
that's
do I
kind of
see
where
things without inducing my own personal self-interest.
and that's where
onto
the
it?
root of my question comes from, because now that not that this even really matters, but I personally believe in balance within. I believe in a higher power. You know what I'm saying? I believe in a powerful frequency that existed long before mankind came into manifestation or fruition, right?
Do you believe you're a part of it?
I do believe I'm a part of that.
Energy cannot be created nor
Yes.
destroyed.
But I don't believe that I am the divine energy, but I believe that that divine energy created people based off of the same energy. So it's not necessarily our job to become divine orchestrators, but to come into a divine alignment.
Yeah.
And that's more so where
put.
the confusion comes in when I'm speaking to some people about religion versus spirituality, because some people may take it when I say you need to have knowledge of self or be self-sufficient. You know what I'm saying? No, you can't go lay it on the altar and then do nothing at all about it. You know,
because
you got to be self-sufficient.
Yeah,
so
there are
that's where my
extremes to
question
either
comes
side,
from,
yeah.
like that fine line, because some people will feel that I'm trying to say, oh, it's all me. Like, this is just all me. I can't do this without me.
No.
But that's not
that just means
technically
they're not understanding. You.
right.
They're not even
And that's
understanding the
why
whole
that's where
topic.
kind of like where my question is like geared
Yeah.
from that fine
Yeah.
line, you know,
Yeah.
is given an understanding of who we are vibrationally.
I feel like
you know?
how he was saying earlier, the people that are already like at that point are reaching a precipice where they're already like breaking certain barriers to be at a point to like say, like, yes, I want to go to, congregation or stuff like that. These are individuals that have already have developed a sense of humility,
Mhm.
because you have to be humble in the face of things that are greater than yourself.
Yes.
Hence why they say that doesn't have to be like a connected tangent, but hence why, like, I'm going to say they say, but like a personal belief going back to like looking at things outside of like Earth into the greater universe is that how arrogant of us to believe that we are the only living beings in such a vast amount of space.
Mm.
It's the same thing. The sense
That is
of
quite arrogant.
removing the arrogance
Yep.
and the sense of ego of oneself, that you are the only existing livable thing in the universe, and being able to have the humility to be like, I have the humility to say, I don't know certain things. I may know certain things, but I don't know everything.
Right.
But also to have the humility to be like, things that I don't know, I want to know.
But
I'm going to, in a metaphorical sense, kneel in front of whatever it is that I feel like is a way of expanding the knowledge that I'm seeking.
Oh yeah, because I mean, if you live, and just to add on to what you just said, we as a Homo sapien, a race of just people, we arrogant. I mean, we literally thought that the planet was in the middle of everything.
Yeah, and then the sun revolved around us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's natural though.
But it's natural for us to believe that we the hierarchy,
And
of everything.
Which is why it's so beautiful. I want you to finish your thought, but I just want to say this, which is why it's so beautiful as humanity for us to be able to collectively make ourselves humble in the face of something greater than ourselves, in a way that is supposed to be,
For some people, it's hard to do that, though.
loving.
For some people, it's hard to do.
But the reason is being the trauma, the past experience, the trained mentality,
Yes, of course.
the not necessarily trained
That's part of the
mentality,
journey.
but versus programming.
That's
you know
part
what I'm
of
saying?
the deprogramming and breaking down barriers is part of the journey.
I think
I
always
agree.
been like anti-religion before I even know what anti-religion was.
But that,
You know what I mean? Like
what she said.
Well, it's the anti-control paradigm.
The control, that paradigm.
It's the
Completely.
hierarchical. It's the power over paradigm. That's what we're moving out of. Now, it was important that it happened the way that it did, I think it's important that power was centralized in the way that it was, and that we were run in a hierarchical manner for the last 3,000-4,000 years, in order to consolidate the power and the resources and the technology in order to help everyone. The thing is, it's kind of gone off the rails. We
Way
are at the
off.
point now that we can provide for everyone. And it's a matter of kind of shifting the philosophical base. So this kind of gets to what I was trying to get to in the beginning, which was the problem with humanity is a cultural problem.
Right.
It's not a system problem as much as it is a learned human nature problem. And that human nature problem is based on a pre-existing expectation and living out of a hierarchical system. That there are, that there could be people above you and below you, and like this whole thing, when in reality we're really parallel to each other.
All the same. We all shit.
And our power lies in realizing that. And there is value in hierarchical systems. I think the government really still needs to be that way. Otherwise, it's just really super messy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, at least for the time being, there's going to be technology in the future where democratic decisions can be made a lot more efficiently and securely. I hope. But having, consolidation of power into groups that can then consolidate and do this hierarchical thing, like that's useful and efficient. But there's government and there's religion. I think that these are two things that parallel each other. I'll get to you, Izzy. You can put your arm down. I saw you.
Thanks, teacher. Appreciate you.
But, I kind of think that government and religion are really the two sides of the duality, making up the reality that we're existing in, because it's man-made structure and spirituality. But the problem is that the religion side, the spirituality side, has been co-opted by hierarchical systems,
Right.
that are easily manipulated
Oh,
for
of
personal
course.
gain.
Absolutely.
And so what I want to do, and this is why this is a religion, not a idea, is that I want to redefine that half of it, so that we've got an efficient capitalist structure built for growth, but it's balanced out by a feminine vessel structure that's built for creativity and deeper wisdom and understanding, and acceptance, and all the feminine traits, because we live in a dualistic reality. And
Even though
laws are important.
Yeah.
Laws
we live in that reality.
Yeah.
But
this is
doesn't
good.
always
Laws
seem
are
like.
good.
Yeah.
We want laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem with our structure is that the laws are being made by fallible people who are living in a culture of hierarchy,
Right.
and who believe that they should be in a culture of hierarchy.
So pretty much it's like redefining.
And
trying
being on
to
that,
redefine those things.
Yeah.
And shift them into a more how can I say it? Just trying to shift it into a better light. You know what I'm saying? Like I see what you're talking about.
Better reality.
Yes.
Better reality
Okay.
that is more kind of like socialist in nature, that is providing.
Oh, buzzword.
buzzword.
So we can have a government that's not socialist, but we could have a national spiritual tradition that provides for its people.
Mm-hmm.
So what day of the week would you do this on? Do you do this
it doesn't
on?
really matter. What matters
Okay.
is the rhythm. So an
extension. Can the rhythm move on a Friday? Because that's a good day for me. You know what I'm saying?
When do you start?
I'd rather go to congregation at 5 p.m. on a Friday than go to the club.
like a pregame kind of thing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
we congregate before I club a gate.
Spitballing here. You feel me? I'm trying to. Yeah.
Well, so an extension of this is, say you have a brick and mortar. You've got one day that's dedicated to the congregation. What does it do the rest of the time? It produces concerts, right? But also, I've thought of this idea of a genre night. So every night of the week is a different genre. And in that way, people come around a genre of music. And that's how that community is bolstered. Because the different musical genres represent our different cultural
Absolutely.
backgrounds. So
Sync wave,
people who are real into X genre can get together and vibe with their people, and maybe they'll be like, hey, let's all get together on Wednesday night and go to the hip hop genre
Can I
night.
toss you?
Let me
can I
just
toss you
let me
an-
interject real
Can I
quick.
toss you an idea?
Let me just interject real quick. So
Go
realistically
ahead.
speaking, when are you going to start your? When does it start?
Don't have an answer for that.
Okay,
Izzy.
so all right, so here's my question too. So, or
I need a venue.
question and
I need a venue.
Okay.
If
need
anybody's
a venue,
got a
guys.
venue.
Like, get him a venue. So this is a question.
I don't want to start it until it can be kept going.
Makes sense.
until the consensus.
I don't want to be like, hey, come to the first songregation, and then
practice-
there's no other one planned.
Okay.
I
you know.
practice in, and the thing about that is, you do not talk about something until it's actually started.
I know. Yeah, it sucks.
There's a danger behind
Too late.
it.
I don't think there's a danger behind this though.
No.
You know,
No,
with
that's
him
absolute-
speaking of it before
It's a big-
gets started.
And
Because I
this is
need
the
input.
exception. This is the
Because I know
exception
that
of the
I
rule.
can't do it by myself. So it's like these conversations that are really important for me to have before it's like on paper.
Mhm.
Because additionally, like I need to find my board of directors to help me define the governing, the way it's governed.
Right.
Well, another thing too, like which I'm on board for in terms of like the idea, which is like there's different genres for each week. Would there be how can I say it? Would there be an education section on a separate day before this congregation? The reason why I say that is because, as we know, different genres have different cultural implications for where their origins lie. And different things like that. So
great
are you going to have people that are from a cultural sense, musically invested in this because this is their culture? Or are you going to have these type of individuals there to like assist with the teachings or
like
the
understanding
cultural
why you should like
knowledge?
jazz?
Yeah,
Or bluegrass.
or like, why should I thrash to punk rock? You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Or like,
Great question.
why, you know what I'm saying?
Awesome question.
Why should I be invested in these things? What about
So at that,
what about ska
yeah,
makes me feel like I want to
Uh-huh.
go out and skank it easy? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
I'm, of course, like being facetious to an extent, but at the same
He
time,
is.
yes, there's some seriousness to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what is there going to be that there to bring in a form of introduction
Yeah.
to individuals that aren't accustomed to it?
So what I would say immediately off the cuff of my head to that is that does fall into the telling people how to feel side of things. And so I want to be really aware of this like side of the tenet and what the church does versus what the people in the church do. So hold on.
Go ahead.
So people within the congregation can host workshops. You know, the idea is that it's really a community center. So the space would be open to be booked
I like that.
by people who are there. So if somebody wanted to do a Bible study, they could. If they wanted to do a study of the Quran or whatever, if they
I like
wanted to do a
that.
dance class, if they wanted to do this or that, it's a voluntary thing separate from the congregation that's being presented by the organization.
I guess,
Now, the thing is, if you think about this branching out to many places throughout the country, you have to think about a bit of flexibility built in for local communities to run it the way that they want to, the way that their market wants. So, there might be places that are real into like multiple different kinds of like country or bluegrass music, versus like, you know, more diverse places that would have these things. And so like the genre night would be based off of individuals within the community who wanted to host that genre night.
Okay.
I understand.
Rather than forcing it.
That I understand. And this is less of a gatekeeping aspect of it and more of a making sure that if you are ingesting or intaking a certain form of music that coincides with a certain culture, making sure that you are properly have the knowledge so that with whatever reverence or whatever anytime you are intaking it, you have that certain respect for it.
I do like the
not
fact
having the ignorance.
I love that.
It's more of a sense of not telling. You're not telling somebody
Mhm.
how to have reverence.
Sure,
for it.
yeah. Yeah.
but you're just
I got you. Music
you
appreciation
should.
course.
That's what I mean,
Okay,
and that's what I'm
okay.
getting for.
Yeah.
It's not you're
Yeah.
not.
I like that.
telling
That
people-
answers my question.
You're not telling people how to have the reverence, but you're explaining them the cultural implications to like certain things that
Absolutely.
I like that you including everybody. It's like you
100%.
including everybody.
Yeah.
Like if you do think about it, like if you do heavy metal one week, but you don't tell anybody, but you don't instruct anybody on the cardinal rules or the governance of a mosh pit, and you just throw them in there, they're not going to know how to properly respond if something happens to them. People in that mosh pit that are part of the scene will know that if this person gets knocked down, rule is I'm gonna pick you up and be like, good, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Back
in it. You know,
back to elbows and fists. You can get fucked up.
I love that
just
idea.
the thrashing. It's just the aspect of like there's a certain
it's great.
code
Very true.
to certain
Code of
sectors.
conduct.
The thing is,
not telling you.
But the thing is,
giving you the
that does get into that. So the problem of telling people the rules, you know. So like if you think about it in a we need to make this thing airtight, and people can't be able to be like you're telling people you're going against what you were saying and that kind of thing. The organization itself could not deliver that. We would want to find a volunteer from within the community to do that, like you.
Okay.
And that's the kind of like open air possibilities of this space. But I would be initially resistant to incorporating that as part of the program. A, because of the logistics and defining it, and B, because there's other things that need to get done.
I understand.
That's where the like, hey, it's open to workshops. You all do whatever you feel inspired to do.
Which is why I say like I see it as a form of music appreciation, because you like, for me, you can't. Personally, I feel like you can't separate culture and music. There's just there's no feasible way.
Actually, music, I feel like it's the first language.
Yes, but also think about it this way. What if you had no expectations and you went in to listen to something and you didn't know what it was?
But if you have no I think for me, there is a fine line between
think about it. Like afterwards,
no expectations and going in and like doing whatever feels naturally is cool, but also when it comes to like cultural implications of like certain expressions, I feel like there's no negative in terms of like when you're giving these like appreciation like core classes or like just instructions or congregations or whatever, is that the people that you have in place that are giving these like seminars or giving these teachings, is that you are dealing with individuals that are going to be teaching the positive aspects of it, not the negative gatekeeping aspects of it. So in a sense, there's going to be no room. There will be no room for any terms of like governing rules that, how can I say it, that are counterintuitive to the bigger scheme. Because it's all about
let me interject real quick
of the expression.
Let me interject.
Multiple expressions.
I might have to be counterintuitive because I do have to use the bathroom. But I will say this though, y'all. I want y'all to like, subscribe, share. But I want y'all to think about this. I'm still trying. I've been sitting here for the past 40 minutes, perhaps.
Probably more than that.
Probably a little bit more than that. Time is definitely different when I'm drinking alcohol. I'm trying to find the cons, and I'm very good at finding cons. I'm judgmental. I hate when people say, I don't judge, or you lying. Everybody judge. We do it unconsciously. I just judged one of my good friends right here drinking liquid licorice, and so did he. These niggas nasty.
It's Sambuca, y'all. Like,
it's nasty as fuck. These motherfuckers nasty as hell. Like,
it's like Uzo.
But I'm having a hard time finding the cons. So I'm bringing that up because I want to see if any of my podcast mates, perhaps you or even you yourself, did you find any cons on your path to where you at with this religion? I really feel like it's going somewhere.
I mean, the most immediate and glaring one is how do you start a religion and have it not be a cult?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so to define cult, it's like people following a person rather than like a tangible thing or whatever. Now the tricky thing about Sonology is that tangible thing is intangible. It's constantly changing. It's music and sound itself.
Well,
But
let me interject here. I do got to use a bathroom. I'm going to say this: as long as you're not saying that you got to kill yourself to get on the spaceship and get off the planet, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? As long as you ain't, I got to go use the bathroom. But continue talking. I'll be right back.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Great Apes Cafe. I hope that you like, subscribe, share. But back to the Rooter Tutor. I'm really having a problem of trying to poke holes in this man. Religion.
And the reason being,
and I have a problem with that.
The reason being is because he came prepared.
Shit,
he stayed ready, so he ain't got to get ready.
The reason being is because the law of vibration is just that, and we can't alter it, and we can't change it, and we have the best thing to do is to embrace it, because when you embrace it and you learn the law and you apply it to your life and the greatness in it, which is in what people call God, then you apply a law of living that takes you to the highest potential that you could potentially reach in your human life. You know what I'm saying? So how can you dispute that in any kind of way? I just don't see it.
I've been trying
because
to.
any person,
because there's
and
logic.
it's not based off of money or wealth or
it's
riches,
logic.
because it's
or him trying to put himself in the light to be godly or Messiah.
Proven, irrefutable, scientifical logic.
And I fucks with that.
Religious, scientific,
This is actually
spiritual. It all ties together.
This episode, if it's not one of my top 5, I know it's his top 5 episodes.
Look, we're not saying. look.
Top 5.
I'm gonna tell y'all straight up. Like, I'm not gonna go out today and then change my religion or change my practice.
But he's not even asking you to do that.
To whatever Sweezy is selling, and that's the beauty of it. He's not selling it. He's not, out. That's the thing. You're not selling it in a way where it's like, yes, like you got to be part of this. You know what I'm saying? But what you are bringing to the table is therapy. What I'm hearing, outside of the fact of it just being a religion, is I'm hearing restorative therapy and health for those that need it, an alternative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because religion, in a sense, is therapy.
That's what it should do.
It should do.
That's what I believe religion should be.
And for a lot of people, it doesn't.
It's not there to mask certain things, or it's not there to be just as we've,
to control.
Or as we've disputed. It's not there for dogmatic ritualistic practices. You know what I'm saying? It's there for your personal benefit.
What's the name of the religion one more time? I want to hear it one more time.
Sonology.
That's the name of this episode. The name of this episode is Sonology.
Look, if I had...
Is that spelled SYN?
Yeah, how would you spell that?
SONOLOGY.
Okay.
All right, cool. If I had to endorse anything, I just endorse the betterment of self to anybody.
Period.
And if that includes...
And question everything.
Everything.
I've been doing that.
Question everything.
Question everything.
And if that includes you taking a deep dive into Sonology or anything of that sort at some point, then please do. And I say this as someone in my own personal knowledge and research, like what you are proposing also, bless you, also is in the realm or the wheelhouse of Hermeticism or the Trivium Quadrivium, specifically the Quadrivium.
Okay.
But the Trivium Quadrivium, which is the 7 pillars of liberal arts. Now, what you are proposing, or things that are proposed within,
for those who don't know what that is, you gotta make sure you break that down.
So the Trivium Quadrivium are the 7 pillars of liberal arts. The Trivium revolves around verbiage, words, rhetoric, grammar. I can't name the 3rd pillar, but it's okay. Look it up. Trivium.
Look it up.
The Quadrivium, the other 4 pillars deal with mathematics, geometry, rhythm, and astrology. Pretty much, respectively, in those orders, it is the measurement of number. Then you have geometry, which is arithmetic, the measurement of number. Geometry, the measurement of number in space. Then you have rhythm, the study of number in time. Then you have astrology, which is study of number in time in space. What you are proposing is essentially
kind of followed a lot of those.
No, but because essentially what he's proposing is, I don't want to say a tenet because you use it, but pretty much what your religion is based off of is pretty much the foundation of logical exploration of self-knowledge and the greater universe.
Reality itself.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's what better God?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let me ask you a question.
I like that.
And so not to personalize it. I know my producer want me to wrap this up for the next 5 to 10 minutes, but I want to say what
Five.
Stop. What's one of the reasons that what was the causality of you wanting? Like, how did you even get on this path?
Yeah,
You know what I
well,
mean? On even doing this religion thing.
it's pretty fucking bleak out there. you
Pretty
know?
much.
My man said I've been floating out by myself.
Pretty
Shit doesn't
much.
change. we got to find a way to.
You got lonely.
We've
is
got to
what it
find a
was.
way to bring a new way to walk on this earth.
Yeah. And more so
He didn't
now,
answer the question though.
No, I think he did.
No, he
though.
did.
He did. Basically,
Okay.
what he's saying is
I'm here to change shit.
Okay.
Yeah, he sees that
Is
the
it-
way that we've been doing things up until now with a religious perception has been more damaging to the
I agree.
communities,
And
has created
I
more
agree.
division
Because
than
if you just-
anything.
if you just
know?
look at
Nicely
churches-
put. Yeah,
Right.
nicely put.
If you look at churches, if there wasn't, I mean, you could eradicate homelessness in a day if every church in America was to open up their doors. You know what I mean? So
But that's not necessarily how it works.
no,
we know that.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing
I was
is,
answer your own question,
you know,
yeah.
to answer the
Yeah.
question, I can't think of anything else that could fix the world.
I think the most
Like I really like. There's no other path that I
That's
could
the
think
answer.
of. Like
Okay.
That's a hard
I can't
path.
become a senator.
Would you say so?
I
Would you
I
think
could
so?
become a senator. I could become a president,
but
but I don't think that it would exert as much influence
Politically,
as
what would it do?
creating a world religion based on sound.
What I
Vibrationally,
feel
what
like-
does it do?
I feel like what you're proposing, like you said, both of y'all like as an intersection is that what you're proposing is a unification of vibration.
Mhm.
Like essentially,
That's what I
like
get.
Nicely
it's
put.
a unification
Yeah. Well,
of
talking
like
about this
just it's a it's a unification of of common vibration or the exploration of vibration for the betterment of self and those around
Yeah,
you.
we'll find a way to make the world an orchestra.
Right, because when you become a better
like that.
self, you become
I
a
like
better
that.
person to everyone else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you're personally in alignment with you, it makes you less judgmental, less irritated, less manipulative, less jealous.
Yeah.
You know, those insecurities have a smaller chance to live in your vibration when you're focused on a higher frequency of living. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Being a better human makes you a better human to society.
And
You know,
and just to alley you, let me just I ain't gonna lie. Your path is tedious. You get judged. You know what I mean? Actually trying to change the world is one of the most hardest fucking things you can actually do in life. But bravo to you for actually trying to do
Seriously.
that.
I mean, the
I
time's
would
come.
never. I ain't gonna lie. I'm grimy.
I-
if you're
I
not
feel
trying
the
to change
same
the
way.
world,
I feel the same way.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you had people like even
Don't
Bob
get
Marley.
crucified.
He tried to change the world through music. You know, he tried to change the world through music, and of course, to some, it changed their world. But the world is just so. And the fact that you even attempting to try it, hey, my hat go off to you.
You know, I
That's
think there's
tedious.
no better time than now.
that's right.
Because we're
Now's the
living
time.
in a time and space where whether completely out of our control, our society is waking up to a new perception of viewing things.
Yep.
We are really, even though it's not as
Tangible.
publicized, publicly put out there, that division is becoming fewer and fewer.
It's the best
You know what
road
I'm
we've
saying?
ever had.
It's better now than it's ever been.
Mhm.
And the only reason people think it's not is because
He
they've
said the
been-
same thing earlier.
No, it's the truth, because it's been close. The only people that think it's not are the people that have not stepped outside of their local community of perception. You know what I'm saying? In its totality, when I'm dealing with so many different people from different races, from different genders,
Right.
from different religions, ideologies, perceptions, what I
Philosophies.
see is that division is being moved, because I personally am one of those people. You know what I'm saying? At one point, I dealt with many of those things. I was halfway racist. I didn't like hate all white people, but I had a judgment towards white people. But not only white people, I had a judgment towards white people.
This is her judgment.
I had a judgment towards Asians.
I know what the judgment is.
I had a judgment towards gay people. I had
racist until proven otherwise.
Right.
That's the most common for
it is. But the truth is that we live in a racism of many things. In the past, it consumed us in a way where division kept us in those boxes. But I feel personally that based on astrology, we moved into the Aquarian age in December of 2021. And that opened up a gate where people went into what Tim calls a more flow state. So not even that our children that are growing up right now don't see color, they don't see gender, they don't care about the division of groups based off of what was put in place before they came. And that's where I began to see the difference of the shit that doesn't even really matter. You know what I'm saying? And like I said earlier, I would like to say, oh, ratchet for me, but I can't say, oh, white people are not ratchet, just us black people, because I know some ratchet ass white people. So the ideology to create division removed itself from my mind because I said, damn, there's ratchet in every culture. there's intelligence in every culture. There's creativity in every culture. Yep. There's individualism in every person. And with that being said, what seriously divides us is exactly what he's saying, just the difference of what we've been taught. And what words mean to you may mean something different to somebody else. But when you remove the words and you remove like the stigmas and the categories of how we place people and how we place things, and understand that we're all vibrating on the same physical vibration that doesn't exist in color, that doesn't exist in gender, where you can fully go into a space and acknowledge that you want to tap into God and you want to tap into you on a higher level outside of a biased perception. How can that not change the world?
Just to add,
you know what I'm saying?
Add onto that layer of cake like that. Let's just add some extra ice.
I'm sorry to go on that rant.
No, you good. I don't believe in accidents. You had to be here.
More of a
Sis, literally, you don't understand. For me, she's been preaching it. She's been on here since February of last year, if memory serves me right. So she's about to hit her 1 year anniversary. Shout out to Miss Brittany. I think you got to make sure you look at that.
I gotta check.
Got to check back.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is Brittany. I've known her. She's been preaching the same statement, and just to meet somebody who allocates that same ideology that Brittany been preaching. Hey, that's some gangster shit.
Yeah, I just feel like it's...
Don't you feel vindicated?
Not even just that. It's not... I feel more happy. I don't even feel vindicated. I don't even need to feel that I was right about anything.
Right.
Yeah, it's
I
like
feel more happy of a more free awareness.
Yeah, it's like
just knowing that somebody...
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's more of happy
like,
that...
Oh, yeah, cool.
Other people do get this.
Yeah.
Right. You know?
We might actually do this.
Right. This is actually becoming something that is
and it
being
is from
implemented.
the places I'm coming from with the EDM community and hippies and shit in Asheville. Like everybody's all on this.
Shout out to Asheville. Y'all bars is even different.
Love Asheville.
Even the bars is different, all right? Yeah. I mean, it's like a chill back hippie vibe. Shout out to Asheville.
Shout out to Asheville, because that's actually where I go to get licensed for my Reiki.
Well, if memory serves me right, I did a little bit of history.
I have to go again this year.
Between Asheville and Jefferson, North Carolina, there was like a big movement, part of the Underground Railroad. Yeah, I need to look up that. Asheville was really looking out.
It's one of the most beautiful
shout out to y'all.
Places I've been to in North Carolina. When you go to Asheville, you can feel the frequency in the air. You know, the mountains, the hills, the animals, like the land.
It's a whole vibe.
Well, the Appalachians are the most ancient mountain chain in the world, right?
Yeah.
If not the most, one of the most.
One of the most.
Grandparent.
I ain't gonna lie, y'all. That Bacardi just hit me. This is Great Apes Cafe. I hope that you like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. I really, really appreciate both of y'all being here.
Yeah,
on this set.
Seriously,
leave comments if you have questions and things.
Maybe
they'll have me on here again. You want my social security number?
Social media.
My social security.
Socials.
Yeah, I want to go off grid. Let me get that.
You can search for me as Sweezy Sound. I'm a sound engineer in town. I got a business called Sweezy Sound.
Sweezy, Sweezy.
That's right.
All right.
You got it. Nailed it.
Mhm.
Couldn't have rehearsed it better.
Izzy, where can we follow you at, Chief?
You can follow me on Instagram. Is the God 3 IZDAGOD 3 Trinity. You know me. Or you can find me on Facebook, Israel Sorensen. But please just hit me up on IG. Like that's where I
I
deal
swear,
with
you and
everything.
Tim got like dope ass names. I be just breaking it down. Shout out
It's
to
just
Tim.
you know, we're artists, dude. Like to be an
Shit.
artist is to like, you know, live your expression no matter like in what form. Like it's just it is what it is. But yeah, no, like yeah, any questions of me or anything about like what I do in terms of like words outside of religion, yes, you can find me on Instagram is the God 3.
And I
For
gotta
any of
talk to
your
you about some poetry. Yeah, I gotta hit you up on some poetry. I ain't gonna forget that. I'm tipsy, but I ain't dumb. Back to the situation with you. Let me know when you find a venue. I do have free. I do free advertisement, and I do that on
Right
the
on.
podcast.
Right
So-
on. Awesome.
So you just let me know. I don't want to be a
Off the
member.
record, I can
don't-
probably help you with the venue as well. Like we'll talk. You know what I'm
Word.
saying?
All
Off
right.
recording, but I
Cool.
can
I love it.
hopefully assist
Love it.
you.
I
with
don't
that.
have to be a member. Inclusion is a hell of a drug, and I don't want to take that drug of inclusion. But I do want to know. Let me know when you got shit going, and you always welcome to come on the podcast for an episode. If you got
Right
something
on.
you want to get off your chest, you know,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Oh man, I'd love to talk to you all about all
Oh
sorts
yeah,
of
oh
things.
yeah. I apologize about my podcast members for being late. My sis Brittany, she had a lot going on today with fixing hair. That's a
Hey yo, why you
tedious
putting her
job.
business out there on the podcast? B?
And my
What's up with
homeboy,
you, huh?
Thanks,
my
Tim, for
homeboy
bringing up
Kev,
my stress
my homeboy
today.
Kev,
man, you didn't do all that.
Kev
Now.
he was a little quiet for this episode. The last episode before that, my nigga was talking more than anybody. Shout out to my producer, DJ Barbarian and Izzy. I'm happy your ass is here, and I'm just gonna drink my last and drop it.
Always good to
man.
have it.
Thanks, y'all.
Shout out to y'all. I appreciate this.
Absolutely.
this platform.
I'm just happy to meet
Appreciate
somebody
it as
who
well.
actually before I both out the episode, I literally met somebody who literally is a reflection of you. And I don't believe in coincidences. Like, subscribe, share. This is Great Apes Cafe. Great appreciation for entertainment and success. And I kind of messed that up. Didn't go back. Deuces.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.
I meant to say great appreciation for people, entertainment,
Aaron
and
had
success.
stopped like 10 minutes ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, right. But I'm tipsy. I ain't gonna lie. That alcohol just hit me. Woo.